Hey everyone, it's JPC again, and this is episode 4 of Back in My Day. In this podcast, I attempt to answer questions I get with a little structure, thought, and intent. I also get to take some reps at storytelling, which has been a to do of mine for a while. If you're enjoying the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all the normal call to action stuff. It helps me out a lot and gives me a little virtual pat on the back as well. Also, if you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out, and let's get into that intro. All right, this week we're going to talk about having the right mentality and mindset for practice and competition, and how to not get tilted in game, as well as how to not get down about losing. My goal here really is to explain in kind of my own way the growth mindset and how I recover from setbacks, real or perceived. Caveats time. So I don't know how to prevent myself personally from getting into that kind of negative, or to stop myself from getting frustrated or tilting, but I do know how to quickly recover. I do get upset like everyone else does about losing, especially when I get close to a target, like my platinum rank up or my diamond rank up games. Um, with it, yeah. But I tend to quickly get over them, and it's usually not game to game, but it is session to session. And I am very good about restarting fresh on the next day. So this is my attempt at explaining what process I go through. I want to start off by talking about thinking about the future and putting that perspective always kind of in front of you. You hear this a lot. I know I'm not the only person who says it, but I do think this, and it's one of those things that if you can figure out how to drive this home for yourself, it's very very beneficial. And what that is, what I'm alluding to here is the don't compare yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, right? Or who you were a week ago, or who you were a month ago. And if you can constantly keep that in the forefront, um, always looking at how you've progressed and how you've gotten better than who you were in the past, that really kind of brings in the competitive spirit in a proper way, especially when it comes to gaming, when it comes to um, your life, your personal kind of situations, work, those type of things, your family. It's actually a very good thing to keep on the forefront. The reason that it's important is you don't know what circumstances are going on with other people around you. I remember a comment on one of Hujin's videos where somebody had mentioned that they were 40 and ascendant, so they were already able to get to ascendant before me. Um, and with some conversations back and forth, turns out that they actually had like CS:GO experience and had been in a competitive FPS world long before I was, because I started Valorant without ever actually playing competitively or playing ranked or on the ranked ladder. So if I would have taken that comment at face value, that would be, oh, okay, well, um, man, this guy's already ascendant, and he's 40. But in all reality, it's a very different scenario. And the purpose of the Boomer to Diamond series was to prove that you can take somebody who did not have that experience, um, and doesn't have a lot of time to play and a lot of time to practice and grind, and that they can eventually get there. And and I hit plat 3. I have D ranked into plat 2, but I have no doubt in my mind that I'll continue back in that direction, and I'll be able to get to diamond without really much more of a challenge. But part of that is, which I'll talk about later, is believing in yourself. But again, I don't want to compare myself to others, and it's easy to say don't compare yourself to others. A little, I guess, a little challenge that I have, and I'll kind of put it out there, and I'm trying to figure out how to word this so it doesn't sound um, awful. I think to me it's awful, but I think I have to word it away. Anyway, what on the server when I hear somebody is ranking up silver to gold or gold to plat or plat to diamond, um, I immediately have this feeling of loss that I'm losing something, and part of that is comparing myself to them, and I actually have to remind myself, right? I have to remind myself of this all the time. So it's okay to feel like you can do better than you are, and where you are, where your station is. But um, you have to be able to take a moment and retract the feeling of loss, right? And because you're not losing anything because they're ranking up. That is something that I've struggled with my entire life, and it is one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up and talk about this topic is it's something that's normal, but well, it's normal to feel, but it's something that we have to redirect our reasoning for, right? I don't dislike the fact that somebody ranked to diamond before me. I dislike that I'm not there yet, and I should be giving them the props and the accolades that they deserve for what they've done. But again, their circumstances are extremely different from mine. They can play more than 2 games a night. They can probably play more than 5 days a week. And uh, you know, I hate to do the age thing, but younger people are going to have an advantage over an older person in terms of the ability to wrap your head around things quickly, learn things more quickly. Those things are all true from in a more aggregate standpoint, right? Not person to person, and I can't judge them for doing something that I currently am unable to do. So I always try to give the props when I see them, and quickly remind myself that I should not be comparing myself to them, and I shouldn't feel down because they got somewhere before I did, or are progressing faster than I did. Um, just putting that out there. Uh, Another thing I do in terms of thinking about the future, I've mentioned this in server before, but the person I'm going to be a month from now would smoke the person I am now because I know that I'm going to keep progressing. So Diamond JPC will lay waste to platinum GPC, and being able to think about that and knowing that I'm moving in that direction. Again, there's a piece later about believing in yourself, but just recognize that. And then you can even go backwards with it. The person I am now as plat 2, plat 3 would destroy who I was when I was gold. And I know that that's 100% true. So being able to wrap your head around again to who I am now versus who I was is I think a very powerful tool in terms of having the right mindset going into learning and performing. Um, the last thing kind of for the think about the future is a year is really not that long. Therefore, a month is even shorter, obviously, right? So if if it's going to take me a year to do something, if I thought to myself that I could get radiant in a year, let me scratch that. Immortal in a year, right? There's a whole other circumstance around radiant, which is why Wukujin doesn't suggest that being a target without certain circumstances. So immortal. If I can get immortal in a year, then that's something that is 100% viable, and is something that with the proper mindset and the proper structure and the proper routines that you can easily get there. Um, but the person you'll be in a year is drastically different than the person you are now in many 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 ways. We grow so much in every aspect of our life in a year, again assuming that we're putting the work in and putting the effort in, and we're checking the right boxes, that just think about that. If I'm doing the right things today and I continue setting up the right routine and do the right things for a year, there is no doubt that you will be a different person 1 year from now. So that means that depending on your, sliding scale of progress, that the person you are a month from now will be very different. We're going to have plateaus, we're going to have peaks and valleys. Those things are all true, but it's not. This is one of those scenarios where people always say it's the journey, not the destination. When it comes to this, it's the destination that matters, and the journey you're going to have ups and downs on, and you need to be able to accept that that's okay, because again, the person I will be at the end of this will be very different than who I am now. The second thing I want to kind of go into in terms of growth mindset is believing in yourself and believing in the process. So this is, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but um, for me, and I think that everyone has some aspect of this, and if you don't, I think that that's something that you have to figure out how to develop. But I know what I'm capable of doing, right? I have 40 years of doing things, and I know that I've been able to learn things, get much better at different aspects of my life if I put the effort in and put. So I know I'm 100% capable of this, and not only do I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I believe I'm capable of doing as a result of what I know I've done. So putting that there's a belief aspect there. Um, One of the things I talked about with Hujin with very early on was that uh, I know that if I put my the proper effort into something, that I can get wherever I want to go. Um, the only thing that holds me back is my drive to put the effort in. And I think I've talked about this in the past, is I've wanted to write for a long time. I've had ideas of stories and things that I've wanted to do. And the only thing that prevents me from completing that is setting the time aside to write. I always find a reason not to do that. So the only thing holding me back from that one kind of box that I want to check is my belief in myself, and me structuring my day or my week around giving myself the opportunity to do that. Um, but believing in yourself is 100% required for this. If I've seen people in Discord just kind of knock themselves down, and I just can't figure this out. I'm not going to ever be able to do this. Maybe this isn't for me. And to be fair, I have said those words to Wahujin. Maybe if this is just something I'm not able to do, but those are in the low points. And again, I talk about quickly recovering. I know that when I get to a place where things are not where good mentally for me, I go back to this. I know what I'm capable of doing. You should know what you're capable of doing because you've done things. You've grown in some shape or some way, shape, or form in your life. You've grown. You've learned new skills. You've been able to develop yourself, and you have to find ways to correlate what you did or and how you did those things to the next thing. And it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult. Nobody opened up a game for the first time with zero experience and was immediately able to do it at a high level. So it's supposed to be difficult, and you have to believe in yourself. I also mentioned believing in the process. So this one's a little bit more difficult, but you have a process in which you know that you can learn. Um, there are people that will know more than you. I go back to almost always with this in terms of aim versus movement. So everyone comes into a first person shooter thinking aim, 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 aim. And there's a common theme with Valorant, which is learn the proper movement. Movement before aim, you can figure out aim later. Of course, there are times where like your aim cannot be trash, but if you have average aim and poor movement, you will never progress. You would need average movement and average aim to to be at least average. So I bring that up in terms of somebody's going to find a an inefficiency in um, in your play and in your movement and or in your methods, and you do need to find out what the proper process is. But once you find that process, right, Wahujin has the gold routine. You do these things. You can, if you can do these benchmarks and you can do these drills and you can implement them into ranked, you can get to gold. Um, I didn't question that. The moment he provided that to me, I didn't ask, oh, has somebody else been able to do this? I think it's okay to ask those questions. And we see that in the server a lot, in Discord a lot, where people are asking, has anyone actually um, gotten to goal by following these tips? And yes, I did. I didn't question it before because, again, I kind of go back to the belief in myself. Like, I know that if somebody says you do X and you can get to Y, I'll put the effort into doing the X and see if the Y comes. I'm okay with taking the time to test out a process. The first week that I did the drills, I could already feel that I was doing things better. So I knew this was going to work from the first pass. You have to give the process a little bit of time. I was on a team, a sports team. I won't go into it. Years back, where we had a captain. We actually changed captains from year one to year two on the team, and as soon as the new captain started and we were putting things into play, people immediately started not liking some of the aspects that the new captain was trying to implement, some of the strategies, some of the plays, the routines, and that immediately becomes a problem on a team because if we all majority appointed this person to be captain, if the minority starts complaining about the strategy, then you already have a schism that's going to be very difficult to recover from. If half the team doesn't believe in the process, then the entire team breaks down. This is similar. If I don't believe in the process, or at least give the process a chance, enough time to figure out if I can believe in it, then then you're just kind of running through the motions of a routine. And I think that that goes back to my optimizing practice podcast last week, that if you believe in it, then you can find ways to push yourself through it, and you can't just go through the motions. When I did the gold routine, when I initially started playing ranked, I I built my practice routine around that specific gold routine, and I pushed myself. If you're saying that if I can do this, at least this good, then this will be the outcome. I'm going to try to do it even better than the at least this good level. It's just one of the ways to have the right mentality going in. So you have to believe in yourself, but you also have to believe in whatever process that you are um, working through or have been handed. And I think that's the hardest part, the believing in the process, because people will do the routine. And again, I've seen this in the mod mill tickets. People will do the routine and are literally just going through the motions. I'm doing the overflick, underflick. But you're not pushing yourself because you're just expecting the process to work on its own. Well, that's fair. it it does say that the process will get you there, but you have to believe in the process to a point that you are pushing yourself to exceed that process so that you can maximize the benefit of it. So yeah, that's this is kind of the second kind of category here is that the believing in yourself. It's very important that your mindset is set around positive belief in both yourself and the process. The last topic here is talking about taking risks and learning from the outcomes of those risks. So it's Adam Grant, I want to say. It's called Think Again. I'll look it up. I'll put it in the comments below, um, the exact book. But it's Adam Grant, and the reason I'm bringing up Adam Grant is he talks about he talks about he talks about the growth mindset and learning culture, and a part of the growth mindset and learning culture is failing and being happy with failing. Obviously, you want to fail in the right way, but you can't grow if you don't take the steps to try something that may or may not work and then learn from it. And this does go back to the process and believing in the process. But you have to push yourself to limit test the process and limit test the routine and limit test yourself and look for opportunities to be wrong. Look for opportunities to fail. Look for opportunities to be more efficient. And if you can figure out how to believe in yourself and then push yourself by limit testing, you will find outcomes that allow you to um, reset and reevaluate and try something new, or push yourself even harder. So I'll go back to I'm trying to get to 90 seconds, eliminate 50, sorry, eliminate 100 in 90 seconds. That's not something that if I just sat down and did that over and over and over and over again, that I will quickly get to. It's going to take some time to get to 90 seconds of eliminate 100. So instead of just beating my head against the wall and doing eliminate 100 30, 40, 50 times a day trying to get that number down, my routine has been to slowly build up to that. And right now, I'm still my best round of eliminate 50 has been 50 seconds. I've done it, I think, 3 times now. The moment that I hit 49 seconds, 2 times, I want to do it twice. I will switch to eliminate 100 and start going from there. This is me limit testing myself, but also giving myself the opportunity to succeed while limit testing. Um, Earlier this week, it took me 8 tries to get to my 52-second threshold. Um, I've moved. It was 54 when I did, I think, episode 1 of this podcast. I think is when I was going to do, it was 54 seconds or 53 seconds. I'm now down to 52 because I've hit that PR of 50 multiple times now. So I know that I can drive that home or drive that number down. But making that target harder means that I'm going to miss it more often, which is forcing me to push myself. Um, this isn't per se risks, but it is me uh, driving that target threshold down by pushing myself over and over and over again. Go through it. When I'm in game, I am constantly looking for opportunities to limit test. I will, I don't jump peak. Okay, in order for me to learn how to jump peak, I have to jump peak incorrectly, and I have died jump peaking, trying to to properly do it where I thought that there would be an up, and I jump peaked. I didn't do the airstrafe peak. I tried to actually do a legit jump peak, and I got blasted. That's okay. That sucked. I actually went and tried to practice it a little bit more in the whatever in a custom, and then I went back the next game and I tried it again and I got blasted again. Um, you have to take those risks to learn how to do new things. I don't know how to jump peak, so I need to do it more often. And I can do it 1,000 times in a custom, but until I do it the first time in an actual game, I'm not going to uh, learn the proper times to do jump peaks or airstrafe peaks or silent peaks when it comes to those things. So I go back to take those risks in order to develop and become better. I have to believe in myself that I can do these things, but then I have to try the things that I have never done and believe that I will figure it out by failing. Um, you have to be okay with failing. You have to be okay with being wrong. And I'll bring up Adam Grant again because he talks about think like a scientist. And I know I'll somewhat butcher this, so definitely read the book or check it out. But think like a scientist. A scientist enjoys being wrong because that means that there's something new to learn. I suffer from this in work. I do not like to not know something. I don't like to end up being wrong in a conversation. But I do enjoy when there's something that I didn't know presents itself. So I've tried to drift more toward that. Think like a scientist mentality. I want to know what I don't know. I kind of somewhat correlate that to this growth mindset conversation here, which is I kind of want to know why I can't do X, Y, or Z. I have never purchased an op in game because I don't know how to hold angles or properly hold the angles that I need to hold to optimize the op. Well, I'm not going to learn how to do that until I start buying an op. And I think that that's part of this taking the risk and expecting to fail, lose that round, lose that half, lose that game while you're figuring those things out. And yeah, take those risks. Do the thing that you have been risk averse to do. All right, I have rambled at this point, so let's recap a little bit. So in closing, um, think about the future, right? Be persistent. You got to power through it, but be persistent while thinking about the future, right? Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, but then recognize that who you are today would get smoked by the person you're going to be 1 month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. Believe in yourself and believe in the process. Sometimes that requires you to um, test the process a little bit, and that's okay. But once you have a process in place, just power through it. It's extremely beneficial to keep the same process in place for say, an extended period of time, so that you can again, which is the last point, which is test it, to limit test it, to learn from the outcomes and figure out what you do need to change or what you don't need to change. But believe in yourself so that you can take those risks and be okay with failing, be okay with um, getting things wrong, because you will eventually be better for it. All right. That's it for this week. Our next episode is going to be about analyzing gameplay. Wahujin has started to do a little bit of VOD review, my VOD review on Tier 3 Fridays, which I thought was fantastic. So this kind of comes up at a really good time for that. So next week is going to be about analyzing gameplay, how I do it, and what I've kind of learned from watching Wahujin and what I've learned from talking to Wahujin. So hopefully that is something that's interesting. Uh, at that, I will say thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next week. Good luck in your games.